Good morning, and an unexpected live for you guys this morning. And we're going to be talking about obviously one of my favourite subjects, which is, of course, nutrition. And, much as we are running this incredible opportunity for everyone at the Heal-In, one of the biggest things, of course, is going to be when you go home. What do you do when you go home, and how do you manage your health at home? And you've heard me speak about this quite a lot, where you can come for a week, you're going to get amazing food by John Angus, who's about to join us. And we know that's relatively easy to rock up at a retreat and to eat the great food, to get all inspired. It's, that's the easy part, but it's how do you maintain that? How do you do it when you go home? That is the biggest challenge for most of us. So what we're looking to do, obviously, John is going to be John's a chef. His family own the Sliggican Hotel. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's something like that. For a century, pretty much. He's born and brought up literally in the catering industry. He then created the self-health food truck. And he has been himself on a journey, obviously, from people who work crazy hours, like most chefs do, and you're tasting this, tasting that. It can be quite a challenge to eat, say, intermittent fasting, for example, to eat the right foods, to eat at the right times. It can be really, really challenging. So, and obviously things start to, when we know ourselves when we're out of balance, because what happens is, well, maybe our bowels start to move differently. Maybe we don't sleep the same way. Maybe our weight changes, our energy levels change, because all that is part of basically how health works. The basic hydration, the basic level of nutrition. Oh, here's John now. I'm just going to bring him in. Good morning. Hi, and we are live. How you doing?
Yeah, all good. How are you?
Oh, it's great to see you. That holiday and your daughter surfing looked amazing.
I know, it was good. We've been in Poland for, daughter's here to say hello as well.
Hi, sweetheart. Hi, darling.
Say hi.
Hi.
We've just reached grandparents in Poland, so from the heat of Sri Lanka to -2 degrees. And I've just signed up for an impromptu 10K run in about an hour and a half as well, having not run at all for 3 months. So that'll be interesting.
Good for you. That's the attitude. Just do it. So listen,
yeah.
I just came on. I was just talking a bit of an overview, because I knew that you were short for time in terms of nutrition, which is the way we maintain the bioterrain, the inflammation, the infections, the candida. And it's people are going to come to the Heal-In, and we're fully booked for that first week, which is incredible. They're going to eat your delicious food. But I was just saying how, it's pretty easy for all of us to rock up at a retreat and eat well. It's when we go home. And this is really, people have been asking me for ages, do cooking lessons. And I'm like, no. because of the way I shove things in, it would have been too much stress for me. So I'm so delighted that you are going to actually be teaching people exactly how to make food, and also for people that are perfectly capable of throwing a healthy food dinner together. It's just new ideas, isn't it? And the diversity, of course.
Oh, there's such a disconnect in our country, and there's such a disrespect, I think, in our country as well for the importance of knowing how to prepare food. I didn't really, been brought up in hospitality, I didn't know how to make soup until I was about 25. And it was really just the necessity of having to go into kitchens that kind of led me down the path of learning how to cook, I suppose. And it was probably only really until a couple of years ago, to 2.5 years ago maybe, that I started to question the type of food that was being prepared in the kitchens that I was in. And there was just this little tick at the back of my head saying we need to be we need to be producing and eating better quality food, and I put myself in an environment that was conducive of that, and I couldn't sleep after a few weeks because I felt so different. And I recognize that I'm lucky that I have some skills that enable me to be able to do that, but I really want to start passing that on. And I feel so passionately that our community should have consistent places where people can access the education if they want to make a difference, if they want to start to learn how to prepare food for themselves and not buy the rubbish that's in our supermarkets that's there and it's convenient and it's ready. And I get that, but we need to reprioritize how we think about food. And yeah, it really starts in January, on the 11th of January at my retreat. Having not really run one before, but I just want 2 or 3 people to take a gamble who are out there and have been thinking there's something better for them out there, and they just need a little bit of help in their own kitchen. So taking a look at what their kitchen looks like, what the food system in Scotland looks like, and the many dangers that are out there, and how we can start to recognise those and how to navigate them. And start giving people the tools and the empowerment so that they can take control of their own health journey, because it's no one's fault that we've been born and brought up into a society that unfortunately is just it's sleptwalked into disease, really. But we can start to change it, but we need to do it one by one. So I'm hoping 2 or 3 or 4 folk will take a leap of faith and come up to Skye for a few days and start to learn how to look after ourselves.
I mean, this retreat is very bespoke. It's small because you really want time to really teach, which I think is absolutely critical. Because again, you can come in, you can see something and go, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. And then you go away home and you don't ever do it again. You forget all about it, because we know that the true change of our health trajectory in Scotland will come from the communities. And you and I are equally, I keep saying this, you're one of the few people I've ever met that's as passionate as me about getting this information out. And you kind of said it there, to those who want it. Not everybody wants it. Everybody, oh, it's a lot of shit. All the cynicism about, and we also understand what it's like to be tired and be raising a family and, 2 people working and trying to keep your business going and staff, that, becomes very challenging. But the food in Scotland, and I bang on about this all the time, it's like we have the best food possibly in the world. Salmon, herring, trout, mackerel, all the shellfish, all the berries that grow wild, the root vegetables. That's just like out there right now. Venison, rabbit, organic, wild. There is absolutely no reason. But of course, we're not eating that food. That's the big issue. And the thing that ultra-processed food has brought to us is that we're really understanding these rancid seed oils and sugar combo, the sugar, salt, fat combo of rancid stuff that just ferments in your gut, changes your bioterrain. That's causing one of the huge issues. But it's tasty, right? My grandson keeps saying, but why does it taste so good? I'm like, because it's designed to light up your brain to make you want more.
And it's
challenge.
It's the satiety as well. So these foods are created so that you never get full. But if you start eating these kind of real whole foods, you get full up after a wee while, because it's what you need. You don't keep wanting more and more and more. And I'm I'm a 100% a sugar addict, and you can binge on these things for hours, and you'll never get full. But the after effects are shocking. So, and our country's very stuck, but it's going to take a few heroes just to break the mold and feel a difference, and then for that difference to shine out of them, really, and for their friends and family to take notice and become curious. And it'll be slow. It's not going to happen fast. But it just takes a few brave folk.
Faster. Because it's that thing, isn't it? It's if somebody loses weight and they don't need to say a word, you're just like, what have you been doing? You look great. And if somebody's got a lot of energy, and because so many people now, I include myself in this, brain fog, apathy, fatigue, because regardless, trying to get really true, organic, nutrient-dense food, well, it can be actually impossible for a lot of people. So let's be honest about that. But what we can do is we can certainly improve the amount of nutrition, and we can drive the country farms and the farmers markets, because that's where it has to happen. If the soil is not full of nutrition, then the animals eating the grass are not getting the nutrition, the vegetables are not getting nutrition, the food chain just falls apart. So sorry.
Yeah, no, and one of the things, just touching on that, one of the things I want to talk on a little bit during the retreat as well will be supplementation, and talking about the fact that a lot of our food these days doesn't have the nutrients. You know, I heard a crazy fact the other day that you need 45 servings of spinach these days to get the same nutrients as you did from one serving of spinach about 50 years ago. That's mind-boggling.
Max Gerson saw that in his, Max Gerson, I don't know if you know much about his history, but when he healed his own migraines he started looking to nature. He's a doctor. He just thought, why can I not? No pills were fixing it. Started looking at animals and going, you guys never get debilitating migraines. So he started, he just changed his diet. And then people came to him, can you heal my cancer? And he was like, well, no, I can tell you how I healed my migraines. Anyway, they started taking on the diet. And then, of course, as we know, the disease is caused by two things: deficiency and excess toxicity. So we've got too much toxicity and we've not got enough nutrition. And when we get that balance right, the body will heal itself. It's as simple as that. But now the balance is so far out. I mean, he saw in his 50 years of practice that, you know, how the depletion had started with primarily chemical agricultural farming. And then he could see, instead of taking 6 months to be completely healed, it was taking a year. So, you know, we have very clear data around the decrease, and then add into that all the pharmaceutical drugs that people have now take for granted. Well, you just take pills. That we've really tipped the balance so far. And the issue I keep saying is, if the drugs worked, we'd all be healthy. Nobody would be depressed. Nobody would have high blood pressure. We don't have that. We have burgeoning rates of disease that we have to address.
Yeah, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. It's not all doom and gloom. And that's what I was saying. The fact that our food lacks the nutrients that we really need, we can supplement for it in this bridging gap, whereby hopefully the world's going to wake up and realize that we need to repair the soil, and then, you know, within 50, 100 years, maybe our carrots will have the same nutrients as they did 100 years ago. So we can get through this. And we can get through it together. So
100%. You shut the world down in a week, we can get that sorted out, no bother. But the thing, and we know that soil can replenish in as little as 2 years. So it doesn't have to be that far away. And there's lots of people doing it now. You know, Vandana Shiva spoke at Russell Brand. She was saying the change is on. There's people all over the world already taking control, changing what they're eating, understanding the food chain, where it's coming from, buying when you can afford it. Because that's my other bugbear, is that actual real food is far more expensive than crap. Why? Because the government subsidise it. So that the change is not going to come from the politicians. That's why we created this movement, and that's why you're so passionate about self-help, Chuck, is it's got to be about the people. We cannot wait for these people. They're too invested in corruption and money, and possibly just ignorance is bliss as well a little bit, not realising that we actually have to take control and be the change.
Yeah, totally. So over the 3.5 days, I've got my friend Joe coming in as well to do a day's effortless meditation as well, which will be amazing. I think that's another part that is lacking in most of our lives, is just to slow down and be quiet. And, you know, these 72,000 thoughts a day that most of us seem to regurgitate, we need to be quieting our minds a fair bit. So Joe coming in on one of the days will be amazing as well, built around these various sessions of us learning how to cook a few really simple meals that you should be able to take back with you and cook in the house, and just change. I think, you know, most of us circulate the same 4 or 5 meals every week, a lot of it no doubt veg. So what I want to give you is 3 or 4 meals, a couple of soups that you can go home and comfortably make yourself. It's just throwing 5 or 6 ingredients into a pot, heating it up and stirring it, and then it's ready for you, and then adding a few little nice touches to it as well. So it's really easy, and don't want anyone to be put off by the fact that they think they might need any skills. You don't need anything. just come
No, from
along.
just basic. If you're wanting new ideas, or if you have been, you want to break the habit of, the packet kind of foods, then it's going to be perfect. And I'll be doing a little bit on food addictions and habits as well. I mean, it's going to be a really varied retreat because the boys are going to be there with the sauna. We've got the river right there. We can do some breath work, but the core retreat is going to be about taking these skills home so that you can help your children, yourselves, your children and your grandchildren. And it's just changing habits, isn't it?
Yeah, totally. And just if you want to be inspired to think a little bit differently and make 25 the start of something amazing, it's a great time of year to be doing it as well at the start of January, when you've got the whole year. And I very much, I don't want it to be just a 3 or 4 day thing. I want to be there for whoever comes going forward as well, available on WhatsApp or whenever you need a little bit of help. So it feels like the start of some kind of community.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to be there the whole time. You're going to be there pretty much the whole time. So we're always available to pass on the stuff that we're super passionate about. And again, creating these communities when we go home, and Sliggakin, I just have to go on about how freaking beautiful that place is. And that location is just jaw-dropping. I'm just excited and feel really honoured I'm getting to stay there myself. I think never underestimate the power of just sitting and staring up at these mountains. It's just incredible. And I see the weather's to be frosty for next weekend, allegedly, so we'll see it in all its phenomenal glory. So all in all, it's just a wonderful, wonderful package. But let's talk about what did you eat in Sri Lanka? And are you bringing anything you learned there?
I mean, there was an outstanding yellow crab curry that probably it won first prize. But I think generally, I mean, a lot of carbs over there, which weren't too easy to avoid. Lots of rice and lots of breads. The breads are amazing. But yeah, lots of curries and spices, and a few recipes that we'll definitely take back and use here. I think there was we did 2 or 3 different tours of kind of spice gardens, and that the Ayurvedic way over there and how they combine different spices to heal various ailments, and lots of kind of little tips in that way, but definitely inspired me to look more into that and understand what should go with what when you're trying to heal this, because they've been doing that for thousands of years, and they know that food is medicine.
Curries are popular here. I mean, I've noticed that when people even come to stay here at my aunt's, it's the Chinese and the Indian. I mean, the Indian food for me and Thai, it's close. It's my favourite foods. So we're actually quite, I don't know why that is, but quite drawn to curries and spices, aren't we?
Yeah, it seems to have been part of our culture for a few hundred years. So, but I think it's trying to use them in a way that's going to get the best out of you. I think you can add quite a lot of stuff into it that's not necessary, but I don't know how much will be at the retreat, but we'll try and get a couple of wee things in there.
Yeah, just some idea. I mean, even just putting spices into dips, it's just, again, it's creating new habits, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
Aye, and the other thing I want to touch on is about, obviously in Sri Lanka, like a lot of sun, and that, the diet that you eat is very different. Having lived in Malta, the diet that you eat and can thrive on in the sunshine is very different from the diet that you would eat and thrive on in Scotland. And I don't know if you watched the Blue Zones, you went round all the longevity areas. It was all really sunny places. So I think, that's, our diet has to have more certain things in it for us to thrive because of the long, dark winters. The vitamin D can become a real issue. So I think we have to remember, I don't know if you notice it when you come back, just how suddenly you're hungrier in a colder place. You may not have noticed that yet, but it's very clear to me. I eat about double the food in Scotland than I would eat in Malta.
And we're probably meant to, though, to get through the winter, and we're all meant to fatten up a little bit to be able to get through that. Lean phase. What's become so crazy is that we've got these supermarkets now that make us think that certain foods are available throughout the whole year, but these pineapples traveling from South America or whatever, they're not meant to be in our supermarket, and they've probably lost much of their value through traveling thousands of miles. So we really need to get back to knowing what we should be eating when, and probably having a load of fermented food at this time of year. I mean, I'm in Poland just now, and we're just getting sauerkraut and pickles thrown at us left, right, and centre, and they've had to eat that food in winters for various hundred years because they've not been able to. They've not been westernized. Our food system has been. They weren't part of a Second World War victory that allowed us to start, consuming all this canned and, processed food that became the norm. So, I mean, that's one thing that I really want to touch on and look at during the treat is how the food system's changed in Scotland over the last 100 years, really, and why that happened, and compare it to the likes of Poland, who were occupied until the 80s, really, and had to forage and had to ferment and had to make do with what they could. But the health trajectory of their nation's probably a lot better than ours. But we can reverse it. We can go back to how we did it before, and that's what's so exciting. And it's like I've said to you before, there's a completely different reality just over there. We all just need to go and
you can feel the change, though. People are definitely. I even noticed the way people talk to me now. They're not thinking I'm quite so mental as they used to think I was. We've some of the best mushrooms in the world in Scotland. The food is here. Always said to my friend in Malta, if things go tits up, I'm going to be in Scotland because I'll survive there. In Malta, I'm not sure how far, because the water and everything, we have everything that you need to survive here. It's such a lush, beautiful land. And we just need to get back to really connecting to that land, don't we? And what Mother Nature gave us, instead of thinking we're smarter and cleverer, because we're starting to pay the price.
Yeah, no, we're so lucky to live where we do, despite the many days of rain that we sometimes get. And the one thing I could say about Sri Lanka is that it's a very lush place as well. We went, thousands of meters up into these mountains where the tea plantations are, and I couldn't believe how lush it was. They seem to get a hell of a lot of rain compared to other Asian countries where it's drier, and the fertility of their soil gives them kind of, the spice is a lot more potency than they get in India. So I think Indians actually import a lot of their spices from Sri Lanka because of the the fertility of that soil. But we have it in Scotland too. And luckily, I don't think as much of Scotland has been destroyed as kind of other Western countries through big ag and stuff. So
exactly, because we are the rain in the midges, a lot of people they can't stand the climate here, which is in a way really saved why we still have. I mean, they've tried, but we've still got some real original forests and the rivers. Although I'm devastated here that the salmon are in the red endangered list. We clearly have work to do because we've been famous for our salmon forever, but there's pollution. It's just pollution, isn't it? It's creeping in and it's changing everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we can turn that round. And the power is with the people. I mean, look what happened there with that whole scandal around what's the stuff they were feeding the animals, the cows, to stop them farting. I'm like, have I gone on a different universe? And then everybody just stopped buying the products. Lurpak, they were giving it away pretty much. That's the power of the people and the power of the spend. That's how quickly it can change. And I really think people are now going, why would you buy that, and why would you give it to your children? You might give it to yourself, but you don't want your kids eating that crap. So that's where the power is. It's consumer driven. So can you give us a wee taste of even one of the meals that we'll be getting?
Yeah, so we'll be making a really simple lentil dal one night. Delicious. Adding some winter greens like some kale and some cavolo into it, just to give it a proper pop of nutrition. So it's making bases like that, and like a longevity stew or a bean casserole, and you can have them in your freezer. You can make a batch of it and have them, but then you want to be adding some big pops of goodness into it, like these greens that I'll just take a couple of minutes to cook out in it, and some delicious soups. Again, whether it's yourself cooking just for one, or you're cooking for your family, we'll be making smaller batches, but giving you the tools to increase the size of that so that you can freeze them down and plan ahead.
The last time I see you did that venison. It was really quick and easy, but it was absolutely delicious. Well, is it going to be vegan food?
Well, it depends on who signs up and dietary requirements and stuff. But yeah, more than up for getting some venison on the go as well, because these beasts are roaming wild, and too many of them are roaming wild in our country. But they are just powerhouses of nutrition, and no, definitely not strictly vegan. But if we have only vegan participants, then obviously we'll tailor the retreat to suit. Yeah.
But regardless of whether you're a carnivore or vegan, a lot of these sauces you can put in your freezer and take out and just put your own meat in if you wanted to, or put a bit of fish in. They always say that. It's like, what we're really encouraging is eat more vegetables, but we also are very aware that a vegan diet is not an Indigenous Scottish diet, not an Indigenous British diet. You'd be hard pushed to survive here during the winter if the supermarkets weren't here. So we have to adjust and adapt to get to eat what is available on the land. So yeah, well, I'm excited to learn myself. My daughter, actually, she was talking, I must message her. She said she would like to come over and do it. So I'll send her a message and see if she's still up for it. So anybody that is interested, it's on the 11th of January. I put the link on the event. So anybody, if you've got any questions, you're watching this in replay and you want to ask me or John any questions, logistically, there's a bus from Glasgow that drops you off right at the door of the Heal-In. It takes about 5 hours, and it's the same from Inverness. Somebody said somebody's flying into Inverness for hours. It takes roughly the same time. So, but there's also lift shares, so please get in touch, and we can hook you up with other people that are traveling. And yeah, so we hope to see you at the Heal-In in Skye. Before we finish, John, though, I'll just talk a little bit about the Wild Energy Spa that is also going to be available for your retreat, because this is really what's making it a really, apart from the fact it's historical in terms of nobody's really ever done it like this before, the first pop-up healing centre, and we want this eventually to be a full-time thing where people can come. But we have all this equipment, this energy medicine, and you're hearing more and more the future of medicine is energy, and we already have all the equipment. So that'll be set up at the Wild Energy Spa during your retreat. So people can come in the morning and use it, go in the evening or at lunchtime, where you can do your virtual meditation, where you can do your neurovisor, you stimulate your DMT, you can do the AMP coil, which delivers a whole load of things. Whatever it is, or have a sauna, whatever it is you want to do, just to calm the body down, because most of the time we're just like, let's douse the inflammation, let's get out of fight or flight. And we have the technology to really help the body with that. So that's another phenomenal addition to this Heal-In that is pretty unique to anywhere else. I'm pretty sure that you could go. So that's very exciting. We can also measure how your body is digesting. So if you're struggling to digest food, if you bloat, if you're tired, we can look and we can see, okay, there's a digestion issue here, and then we can probiotics, enzymes, hydration. So we've got everything that we possibly could need.
Amazing. You gave me a taste of the technology when you were up in November, was it? And yeah, I'm excited to be able to share that with everyone who comes up as well, and give them a chance to really make a shift.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you go and get prepared mentally for your run. Is there anything else you want to say before? As I say, anybody watching this replay, if you get any messages, ping us a message. The link's there. The Heal-In. We're going to be streaming some stuff out live. It's all on the website. So any questions, just ping us a message and we'll let you know.
Yeah, and I'll put my email and telephone number if you want to WhatsApp me, just in the comments under this as well.
Right, okay, awesome. Yeah, magic. Well, listen, have a wonderful new year. Love to Marcy and the kids, and I will see you next week.
You too. See you soon.
Awesome.
Bye.
Well,
thank you.